Hi, my name is Riley Allen. This is my review of Chapter 1 of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, titled I Accidentally Vaporized My Pre-algebra Teacher. This has the best opening paragraph I think I've ever read, with him being like, I didn't want to be a half-blood, and if you think you notice yourself in this, just start believing whatever lies your parents told you, whatever, stuff like that. And then going on to basically give a little bit of exposition on himself, like, am I Percy Jackson? I'm Percy Jackson. Am I a troubled kid? Yeah. And then he goes on to talk about the field trip he's going on, giving us exposition about other field trips he's gone on. Like how he ended up blowing up a school bus with a cannon, which brings up questions. How? Why was there a cannon loaded? And if for some reason, like a 8-year-old Percy was loading this cannon, how did he know how to load this cannon? And why did nobody stop him? Also, he ended up sending everybody into the shark tank. And considering we later find out he's the son of Poseidon, I'm wondering if maybe like one of the sharks themselves told him that. They thought it'd be funny. I don't know. We're introduced to a school bully named Nancy Bobafit, who's just throwing chunks of a peanut butter and ketchup sandwich into the hair of Percy's best friend, Grover. He describes Grover as being, in the worst way possible, being like, yeah, he's scrawny, looks scraggly, but, he's my bestie. And honestly, he also says, yeah, he's crippled, but, you wouldn't believe it on Enchilada Day. And I'm just sitting here thinking, Grover, really? You're gonna break your cover for enchiladas of all things? So, we meet our, teacher, who is the Latin teacher, Mr. Brunner. Brunner? So, knowing what we know, we later find out, spoiler alert, by the way, that, Mr. Brunner is Chiron, whatever. And he's Greek, but he's teaching Latin, which is Roman. Why does he have Roman armor? Was he just like wandering through Rome one day and just being like, back then, and he was just like, that armor's kind of cool. I'm gonna keep that. Also, why is he teaching history in Latin class? Is that what Latin class is? History? I thought Latin would be just like a language class, which is, I don't know. Or is he just teaching this? And also, we later find out that he was teaching Greek things as well. So, I'm going to assume that he got here for Percy. Notice realized he was a demigod. Threw out the entire curriculum and just said, yeah, we're learning this now. You're going to need this, buddy. You're going to thank me later. So, he takes him to a museum, and he's in front of one of these statues, I guess, or something like that. And it's depicting Kronos eating his children. So he ends up calling on Percy after Percy does the age-old mistake of accidentally telling someone who was talking to shut up and being louder than the person talking, So he gets called on. Although to be fair, I'm pretty sure he was getting called on no matter what. So he says he does know it. He does know it. And he says that's Kronos. He's the king god. And he's corrected, but I think he's correct, because I think they were called the Titan gods. Like the Olympians, they are the Olympian gods. They're all gods, they're just different species of them, I think. I could be wrong, but I think it's like the primordial gods, then the Titan gods, then the Olympian gods. I could be wrong. So he says it, so he explains what it depicts, Kronos eating his kids, and then Mr. Brunner proceeds to basically go into a... Nancy asked the question of why would we need to know this in real life, and which is a fair question, I guess, in this case. I guess the biggest real life I can think is, so the story is Kronos heard a prophecy that he'd be overthrown by his children, I think like a child, so he ate them, and I guess the thing is, he was eventually overthrown by his kid, but I guess maybe like the thing is, don't worry about the future, or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the message would be. Is there supposed to be a message? Don't be a cannibal. That's your message. That's your real life message. Don't be a cannibal, and be a good father, and you won't get chopped up into little bits. Don't be a cannibal and be a good father. Yeah. But also, like, don't take things... I don't know. I kind of feel like this is one of those things where it could have been avoided if he was just been a good dad from the get-go. They'd have been like, Pops is Pops is kind of a shit people to the humans, but, like, they're the humans. We're the gods. Yeah, I mean, does it matter what happens to them? I mean, he's a great guy to us. He's a great father, so why would we overthrow him? So, I mean... I guess maybe learn from the mistakes of the past or something. Obviously, Zeus didn't do that, because there's a story about him swallowing Metis, his first wife. Or, not his first one. One of his wives. He was married several times before he marries Hera. Metis is the goddess, or the titan of knowledge, I believe. She's Athena's mother. She's the titaness of knowledge, or maybe law and justice, something like that. And she's Athena's mother. And Zeus was given a prophecy that his son with Metis would be powerful and overthrow him. So he turned Metis... He either turned Metis into a fly, or she willingly turned herself into a fly. And he ate her. Again, don't repeat the mistakes of the past, and be a good father, and don't be a cannibal. Those are your messages. But also, Charon asked Percy this, knowing full well, after being here for a while, like, I'm pretty sure he was there most of the year, he knew that Percy doesn't know anything about being a demigod, so why would he ask this question? In that way? Because I feel like this is a question you'd ask a demigod. Be like, yeah, what can you take from this? Was he hoping that he was at least knowledgeable? I don't know. Because it mentioned that when he didn't know, Chiron looked a little disappointed. So they get outside, and he and Grover have a talk a little bit, and Nancy and her friends come in. And this is one of the things that I'm kind of iffy about. Percy called her friends all ugly, all her ugly friends, which is very fair. Percy is a 12-year-old, and he doesn't like these people. They could look very good. They could be very... it doesn't matter what they look. Percy would probably call them ugly anyways. And also, I guess, like, maybe personality-wise they're ugly. honestly, I'm thinking, like, that's kind of how it could go, like, personality-wise, all her ugly friends, ugly personalities, but I don't think that's how Rick Riordan wrote that little line. Also, it doesn't make that much difference. Percy's 12. He's going to be calling people ugly. He's going to call the people who's bullying him and his friends ugly no matter what, I feel like. So he gets mad at her, and then he proceeds to control the fountain and yoink her into the fountain. And I love that, they used the thing descriptive of a wave roared in his ears. I don't know if it's supposed to be a secret, because it doesn't say it on the back of my book. It's just like, I do like the thing on the back of the book. Mine says, "This is the one where Zeus, god of the sky, thinks I've stolen his lightning bolt, and making Zeus angry is a very bad idea." So, honestly, you can really tell that he's definitely a kid of a water god. And there ain't that many of them. Well, there's a good few of them, but there's only a handful that he could realistically be, because, like, main character, you're not gonna read a book with the main character being the son of a Nereid or an Oceanid, or something like that. You're not. It can happen, but, like, something like this, I doubt it. I don't know if I personally don't know if I'd clock Poseidon right away without me already having that foreknowledge. But they're definitely, like, he was definitely hammered in just in case, right off the bat. Yeah, wave roared, he can control water, yeah. He wasn't, skipping any punches there. Also, there's another teacher on this field trip named Miss Dodds, and she does not like Percy. So she saw this materialized instantly and said, "Come here, honey." So, and she brings him inside. Now, Miss Dodds is a monster, like a Greek monster, one of the monsters from Greek mythology. Yeah, this is a Greek book. This is about Greek mythology. Of course, she's a Greek monster. And Grover knows, or at least suspects, she's a monster. I don't know if he knows what monster she is, but but I'm pretty sure he knows that she's a monster. My man's the definition of loyalty right there. He was trying to take the fall. But neither Percy nor Miss Dodds were having it. So she brings her in, and we get some more little exposition. Like, he starts getting nervous. He thinks he's going to have to buy Nancy a new shirt or something, which I guess, fair. You ruined her shirt. You have to buy her a new one. A fair punishment, I guess, in the moment. But no, she keeps disappearing, and eventually, he follows her, and he starts getting worried, like, and she says, "Do you think we wouldn't find out?" And he's like, "Find out what? That I cheated on my English report? Or I was selling candy out of my dorm room?" And then she turns into a fury. Mr. Brunner comes in, throws him a sword that he used in class, which was a pin, into a sword, says, "What ho," throws it to him, and Percy proceeds to kill, says, "I did the only thing that came naturally. I swung the sword." And he kills the Fury in one hit. I'm going to go out on a limb and just say, one, Miss Dodds knew that Percy at least wasn't really trained, so she wasn't going full attack mode. And she was underestimating him, and that's why she died so quickly. And so Percy proceeds to basically kind of wake up from a haze and holding a pen, being like, did that just happen? He proceeds to go outside. This is something called the mist. It's basically what keeps mortals from seeing the supernatural. So he goes outside, and Chiron is doing his best gaslighting ever, because he's like, Miss Dodds. Who's Miss Dodds? There's never been a Miss Dodds. Are you all right? Give me my pen. And Percy would have believed it if not for Grover, because Grover's a bad liar. Now, here's the thing about this. Who is Chiron kidding more? Percy? Because, like, Percy saw the Fury, and the fact that he asked about it immediately should have just been like, yeah, all right, jig's up, we gotta go get him to camp. Or himself, because, like, was he trying to gaslight himself to be thinking, like, yeah, this is gonna work, this is gonna work, this is gonna work, this is gonna work. We can't bring him to camp because this kid's like, we later find out that he's basically a carbon copy of Poseidon, and Chiron is the brother of Poseidon. I'm sure they've met. So he obviously knows what Poseidon looks like. He knows what Percy looks like. He can infer that Poseidon is Percy's dad. So he's got to be like, oh no, what's going on in Olympus is going to blow back on Percy. I can't have that. I'm going to try to hide him. So we got to make this work. And the only reason it didn't work is because Grover's a bad liar. Also, I need to know why we later find out that's the Fury, Alecto. We later find she must really think Percy is a damn good actor. Because up until this point, this is, I think, the first sign of powers he's used. And he's basically been virtually ignorant to it. And she'd have probably at least kind of inferred this. So once she saw the powers, she was like, confirmation. He knows about the supernatural. He's got the weapons, I guess. Overall, this chapter was pretty solid. I also liked the little mention that Percy is definitely a mama's boy, which is, okay, great. Little character building there. And that he was kind of homesick for his mother. This is a great first chapter. It has hooked me. I want to read more. And that's what a first chapter of a book should do. It should hook you. And it should keep you hooked. And I was hooked by the first paragraph, let alone the first chapter. I'm giving this chapter a 10 out of 10. There are a few things that are just like kind of like iffy, the gaslighting. And, but like overall, it has hooked me. I'm hooked. I'm enjoyed. A 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching the video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you want. I'll see you in the next video.